Okay, I'm back. Actually, it's been a few minutes. I got a phone call, so I got interrupted. I had to turn the camera off, so we're starting a different video, but it'll all be laced together. What I've done is I figured, just roughly based on the width that I wanted, that I needed a piece about 3.5 inches wide. Was able to find something from the scrap pile, and all I did was bring in the piece and forget the measuring part. What you want to do is you want to put this stuff in here and then mark it and cut it, so you got as tight a fit as you can get. So here we go. All of this is custom made, so it's not that I know that every time that this is 14 inches across, 3.5 inches wide, none of that stuff. Everything is measured and marked on each and every cooler, just so you have that kind of special look. So what I've done, of course, we saw the hole before, and so what I've done is I've traced the hole on the back side, just reaching around, putting this piece in place like that. I've marked which sides are which way it goes down, which side is going to the right, just so that I'll know. What I'll do now is I will actually take my 1.5 inch bit. Now this is the back side. I'll take my 1.5 inch bit. I'm going to drill roughly halfway through this piece of wood, or a little bit more. Since this is a thick piece, as with this cooler, everything is thick. This is going to be a heavy duty cooler, but I'm going to drill at least halfway through with my 1.5 inch spade bit in this hole, and then I'm going to come back, because once it gets about halfway, it's going to give me a pilot hole on this side. I'll come back with a 3/4 inch bit and finish the hole out, and I'll show you the reason for that. But what's basically is going to happen is that's where the spigot will go. It's a 1/2 inch in diameter, but I need a 3/4 inch hole in order to screw it in, because it's threaded. Just a quick, excuse my mess here. But here I have all of my different pieces laid out, and what we're looking at is just a standard garden spigot. Has a 1/2 inch opening on it. So what's going to happen is once we get that hole drilled, this will actually screw. We'll actually screw it into the wood and have it sticking out the other side. The reason I have the 1.5 inch hole, excuse me once again while I make another trip to my bin. Over here I have all my plumbing pieces, and we're going to use several of these. These are just regular plastic PVC, but you can see that this one is threaded. What's going to happen is I'm going to screw this one in from this side, and then, excuse me, this one will come in from this side, because that's all you're going to see. You won't see anything else. This will be in here just like that. On the back side, I will then screw this into it, so I'll be able to glue my pipes into that. So I need that little extra opening on the back side in order to screw this piece onto the back side of here, and I'll just use a little silicone to create a joint there so that it won't leak. So let me do a little bit of drilling here. We'll get back and we'll finish that part of it up. Alright, I'm back, and as you can see from the front side, all we have is a little bitty hole. But if we turn around on the back side, we have a bigger hole. So what's going to happen is I'm going to take my valve, and then pull this piece of paper off just so you'll be able to see a little bit better. And I'm going to thread it into this hole here. And now, very important that I get it started straight to begin with. And I can see that that's crooked already, so I'm going to need to use both hands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten this all the way down so that this part here is flush with the wood, this part here. So you won't see any of this here from the outside. So give me just a second to screw that in. Alright, so we got our piece screwed in. That's what we're going to see. So now we got our back side here. You can see that the reason that we wanted that 1.5 inch hole is so that we can screw our coupling in. I've already put a little silicone around it, and as with everything else, we want to make sure that starts straight and stays straight. Easier to do with two hands, but I think I can get it with one. And I want to get that on there as tight as I can. And again, we're doing it one-handed, but I think we'll be okay. I want to get it as tight as I can, because once this is in place, and that looks pretty straight. You can see we got a little silicone in the center there. So all I'm going to do, step my finger. I'm going to run it around in a circle. Just sure because that's going to dry and it's going to make a bond. It's going to make a seal there because we don't want any leaks. So a little bit on my finger. Just wipe that off. And then what happens is, we're going to take this piece, because remember we got it marked, so I know that this is the way that it goes, and this is the way that fits in the hole. So this is what we'll see on the outside. Okay, other people won't see what's underneath. So let me glue and nail this into piece, and then we're going to turn the cooler on its side so we can finish up the plumbing part of it. Alright, we've got the cooler laid on its side. And a couple things that I wasn't able to show you before, since we'd already put the cooler in and stuff, but I've added braces here on each end here. Both of them I have added liquid nails. I don't know if you can see because I use the clear kind. Doesn't matter, but I've added liquid nails at a point here and a point here, and then those are nailed in on each end, and this is basically what the cooler rests on, and that baby's not going anywhere. I don't care what you do to it. Now we have our drain coming from here, and then we have our part going out to the actual spigot. So we got to join those together, and very simple plumbing procedures that we're going to do. And we go back over to our handy dandy little parts here. We're going to need an elbow, 90 degree, and we're going to need one more coupling. Here we go, that's threaded on one end. And then we're also going to need our primer and our cement, and then we're going to have to also cut some pipe. Alright, so for those of you that may not have ever done any kind of plumbing before, this will give you also just a little bit of experience in that, and it's very simple. This is not rocket science whatsoever. The first thing that I do is I'm going to attach this piece here, this coupling, and this is what is called a threaded with a slip joint, which means that this end here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but yeah, see the threads right there, so that can screw onto this part here, and then we have the slip joint, which is just smooth, so that pipe can be fitted into that. And we're going to be using 1/2 inch pipe, PVC pipe. That's all it is, just standard plumbing stuff. So here again, we're going to put silicone around the edge of this and screw that on as tight as we can get it. Right now everything is tight as we can get it, even this. even though we're going to wind up loosening this joint, right now we want everything tight, just simply because we can get the measurements right for the lengths that we're going to need. So what I need to do for right now is to get this piece on there. I can't do it with just one hand. I need to put some silicone and then get that started, and making sure that this is straight. So give me just a second to get that started, get that put on there, and then we'll come back and show what we're going to do. Alright, it's actually it's only been 20 or 30 seconds, but to let you know, I have got this piece screwed on there. Now, for those of you thinking, well, that's no big deal, it's just you're just screwing one piece onto the other. The problem is that the threads on this piece here are not the same size as the threads here, so it may take a couple of times to get it started just right so that it comes out straight. If not, it's gonna, when you do it, it's gonna wind up like that, crooked some way, and you don't want that. You want it to be a straight joint so you can line everything up. The other thing that now I've got to determine is if I need, obviously I've got to have a piece of pipe cut to join these two together. Okay, I can't just stick them together and say, okay, abracadabra, y'all stick together. Yeah, that don't work. Even if I use glue and cement, that's not gonna work. So there still has to be a piece of pipe in there. And so what I do, this is strictly by eyeball, but I look at it now, that is almost a perfect alignment there. I've got just a very slight downslope going this way, which is what I want, obviously. So all I need to do right now is to cut a piece that is long enough to go inside this piece here and this piece here, and that will be roughly about 1 inch. And that's all I need to do, and we're going to prime it up, join these two pieces together, and then we'll measure this piece here, which normally is around 11 to 11.5 inches. They're all about the same. This sometimes varies just depending on the thickness of the boards and stuff like that. Sometimes I may actually have a gap. I've seen a couple this long. Here again, going back to our original video where we talked about needing at least 18 inches or so, this is why, so that all of this is hidden, so that when you're looking at the cooler, you never see any of this part here. Alright, so that's why this length here is important, to make sure that this part is covered. And 18 inches will be more than enough to get that accomplished. But looking at this, basically I'm going to need to cut 1 inch of PVC pipe, which is 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to join these two together. So let me go cut that, and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Alright, I'm back, and I've cut my piece. And for those of you who are wondering how did I cut it, simply use my miter saw. One of the best ways to cut PVC pipe to get a straight edge. And if you have a burr, you can possibly see it right there. Most time you can pick it off with your fingernail. If not, just use a pocket knife or any kind of knife and just kind of trim it down a little bit. But other than that, it's going to give you a smooth cut. Now, believe it or not, the longer or older that this pipe is, the bigger chance there is that this will split or crack even. So obviously you want to use fresh pipe, but if at all possible. So when I buy it, I only buy it in 4 to 5 foot lengths, because that's going to make, geez, probably about 20 coolers. So I don't need to stock up on a lot of pipe, because if you do and you start trying to cut it, it's basically going to disintegrate. I know it's a little strange to understand, but that's what happens with the pipe after it sits around for a while. So you want to use fresh pipe if at all possible. You could also use a hacksaw to cut this if you need it. So there are 2 basic components that you use when putting together any plumbing project. First, we have our primer. which goes inside this piece here to coat and to get the piece ready for cement. This is the purple stuff, and it will stain anything and everything it comes in contact. I'm not trying to cover up the camera there. It'll be a little bit harder to do. What I'm trying to do, show you, is that I need to coat this entire thing without getting it on my camera in the purple stuff. And I can't really see my finger there. There we go. So we're putting the purple stuff all over that, and this stuff will dry within 10 seconds. Alright, so it's not that big a deal. But those are the two basic components anytime that you're putting together plumbing. You got a primer. Woo! Show where I missed some there. Let me catch that. I'm going to just leave the camera rolling. I'll try to, maybe I'll sing you a song or something. So let me cover all that. And basically what this does, two purposes. It cleans the pipe, and it also gets it ready for the cement. If you just try to put cement onto this pipe without any primer, it's not going to hold. So very important that you put your primer on there. We've got it on this joint here. We're also going to put it, just while we got it open, let's go ahead and put some on in here. And all we're doing is just coating the inside. And over every joint, every PVC joint, there is a pre-marked section of how far the pipe will go in, as if there will be no physical way that I can shove this piece all the way up in there, because it will stop when it gets to this point here. That's just the way that all joints are made. It's not possible to jab that all the way up in there. So what I'm going to do now, and also please do this in a well ventilated area. Here I'm using the cement. Now, I don't have to rush. This is not going to dry on contact. But all I'm going to do is I'm putting this piece up in there, and I want to push it to give it just a little bit of a turn. That's going to give me my seal right there. Alright, so I know we had one a minute ago, which probably fell off or something when I went to move the cooler around. So let me back up here carefully so I don't trip and get another one. Alright, so now we have our other piece. This one here is a 90-degree elbow. It is a slip on both sides, which means there's no threads. So all of this is going to be glued. I'm going to stick my finger in one side here. I know you can't see a lot of this, but trust me, I'm just putting purple stuff on the inside here. Yeah, I got some on my finger. And then I'm going to put some more on the other side. So both of our end pieces are going to be ready to go. Alright, so we've got purple stuff, the primer, on both ends here. So now I'm going to put some cement. I'm going to put some cement on the part that's sticking out. So it's going to go around. I can stick it on the inside of the other one, or the elbow. I mean, this doesn't matter. I'm going to get the cement, and all I'm going to do is stick this to it, give it a little twist, just like that. Hold it for just a second, and boom, we have us a joint. Now, if you're being a real professional, you would wipe off this little excess cement and purple stuff, make it nice and clean, but we're not being professional. So now, the issue that we have, obviously, is that we have a fixed point here, we have a fixed point over here. We got to get a pipe in there. Alright, and the first thing that we need to do is to figure out what the length is. Now, here again, perhaps a new tool for some of those of you out there. It's a ruler. but it is not your standard tape measure. It's actually a stick ruler. The best accurate form of measurement there is. And as you can see, normally it would come to about right here. So 10 3/4 would be our optimum length that we would want to go, the longest that we want to go. So I'm going to cut it just inside that, maybe 10 5/8, okay, because it doesn't matter if it's all the way in there or not. But so let's just say 10 5/8. You see that right there, okay, and then you'll see that that's all the way to the edge there. All right, so let me go cut that piece and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. And I have cut my piece. I went ahead and primed it off camera just so I could make sure I got it all the way around. So we have our pieces here, and remember our problem was we had a stationary point here, we got a stationary point here. We got to fit a pipe that goes in between both of those without breaking this piece. Well, let's remember we have this slip joint, or this threaded joint up here that we can loosen, which I've already done. So now, we can spin this all the way around like we want to. So what we're going to do is swing that out of the way. And I'm going to try to set the camera here just so you can see. I don't know how much of that you're going to be able to see, but without it falling off. I don't want it to break my camera, my phone. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and put cement on both sides here. Here again, we're not in any hurry whatsoever. Take our time, make sure we got good coverage. And some of this you probably won't be able to see because I've got to use both hands. We're going to slip it into one side, give it a little bit of a turn. We'll come back to the other side, which is now free and hanging. Push it together, hold it for a second. I'm going to go ahead and tighten up that knot. I keep calling it a slip knot. I don't know why that. This threaded piece here, tighten it back down to where it was. Tight as we can get it without breaking it. We don't want to break it. Bingo. We are now plumbed and ready to go. Okay? This is all dried. Will not leak. If you do get a leak, it's going to come from this part here. And all you'll need to do is tighten it up just a little bit there, okay? Now, the next important thing, if you're not a plumber, is to make sure that you put the tops back on these very securely, because they will dry out in a heartbeat. They used to make smaller cans, they probably still do, but I just couldn't find them. But these have lasted me, these cans, both cans here, well over 100 coolers. And so I want to continue to be able to use them, so I want to make sure I get the tops back on tight and secure so that no air, because if especially the one with the cement, if it ever freezes up, you won't get that bad boy open for nothing, and the purple stuff will just evaporate and all you'll have is a cotton swab sticking in there. Alright, so we are done with our plumbing. When we turn this cooler right side up, you will not see any of that. But we now have a functioning drain system within our cooler, and it's also time for a beer. The best part about making coolers. Alright, so let me put the camera on pause and get the camera. Geez, I think I had about 12. Let me get the cooler back on its feet. Alright, just a quick look here. Look underneath. Nothing. Okay, nothing there. We have our drain that is fully functional. Always want to turn it off when I deliver to the customers. So the plumbing is done. And we have our part inside. So let me just pause it for just a little bit. Alright, so the part I'm going to work on now is building the top of this. So I'm going to be off the air for a little while because it's now about 10:30 at night, and I've got to get this cooler finished. So that means I still got to stain it, sand it, and do some other things. So we may be making it a third video up, and I apologize, but it just takes a while to film and then do it. So I've got to go ahead and get this thing finished, but if nothing else, I'll be able to show you a finished picture of what this one looks like. But we're coming along, assured that it doesn't take as long as it seems when I'm filming, because obviously I'm standing here talking when I could actually be building. But just to give you the basics idea here, we're going to build a frame. It's going to go around the outside, basically just a box. Normally that's like 29 by 29, something like that. Well, maybe 29. It's 29 and 27, something like that. They're pretty much all the same. The height of it is normally about 2 1/4, but these boards are a little thick, so I still got to measure. Basically, all I'm making sure of is that when I lay the boards across to make the top, that this piece on the side here comes up to meet them. It's not down below and doesn't raise them too far up above this cooler here, because I still have to attach this top to the top that I'm building. Okay, and the way that's going to be done is through nails and through screws through the other side. So I can't have it standing like 3 inches above the top of this of the actual cooler, because then there wouldn't be any way to actually affix it to it. So I want it to be almost flush coming out here. Now, of course, you got a little slant on your cooler here, and you got a dip here. You got to take that into account. But normally about 2 1/4 thickness over here, just to get it up over that side, all the way around. Is the same thickness all the way around. And then all we'll be doing is just laying boards across to fill in this cooler top here. And then we'll be putting hinges on the back side. We'll be putting a few decorative pieces on the top, a little handle to lift up, depending on how this front board sticks out. And then I've got a very special sign, which I'm hoping I really get to show you, but I got a very special sign that I'm going to put on this one for this friend, because this is going to be a Christmas gift, so I'm really trying to make it special. This is going to be a one-of-a-kind, which I've done one-of-a-kinds in others, but this is going to, I'm going to actually have to route out some places here on the top and on the bottom to get the sign to fit in. Otherwise, it would stick out and just be flush, and I don't want that. I want it to go up against the cooler itself. So that's where we're at this point. I'm probably this is gonna be a stopping point for me tonight as far as filming. Probably won't get this uploaded for a couple of days anyway, but I need to get working with it, because I still got to stain it to put the shelf on the bottom, and that's going to take a couple of hours to do. So probably will be a part 3 on the next cooler that we build, which will lead into the final preparation parts of building the top and that sort of thing. So until then, y'all have fun with what we've talked about, and remember, it's not I'm probably making it seem harder than it is, but it really is not. It's something that you can enjoy and really take pride in, something that you built for practically nothing. I don't know if I have discussed this at one point. Just a quick thing. Okay, we spent $16 for the cooler. Boop, boop. Cooler right there. $16 for the cooler. We spent $2 for the drain. We spent $4 for the wheels, all 4 wheels. I just buy the pipe fittings and stuff. They're like 19 cents a piece. So let's just say $1. But you know, I've got 100 of them. But let's just say $1. So we got $1 there, $2 there, $4 there. So 7, 6. So we spent about 23. We're going to spend about $25. Okay, not including the sign. And then there'll be a Coke opener over here. That's another $2. Signs are normally about $9 to $12. That's the range that I go for. So with all that said, we're going to spend about $30 to $35 to build this cooler. Now, that's with all these extras. If you didn't want to put any of these extras, you'd be spending $16 for the cooler and a couple bucks for the drain. That'd be it. But this cooler you could sell. Listen up, folks. This cooler you could sell every day, at least here in the South, for a little over $300. Okay, $40 investment, free wood, $300 in sales. So you're looking, let's just say minimum $260 profit. Not too bad, is it? See you on the other side.